understand why this was included. That's okay. So there's no JavaScript error here. That's good. But we have to double check what are the files that are included, right? So when you view source, you see that we have a bunch of things here. The script tag, the ones with JavaScript files. By now you already know jQuery US. It's mapping, to the same files that you see here. jQuery US turbo links, right? It's a little hard to see, but bootstrap material, right? When I require this, it adds a bunch of the bootstrap. This one right here, right? There's 3 of them here. It's a folder in the gem. Okay, so you have a material, ripples. If you're curious, you can go to the GitHub folder and you can find it, your GitHub repo. And the standard action cable stuff, because I use require tree. Make sense? CSS. Now CSS, when you use import instead of the require syntax, this is SAS syntax. Require is sprocket syntax. With SAS, it's just merging everything into one file. That's why you have application.css. That's just the name. It's just called self and stuff. And in here, it will create you the command line that tell you exactly where your code is, how it merged all these files. You can debug them easily, right? And with if you look into anything, you see that if you see that let's say this label over here, it's a bit of styling here, right? This labeling, if you click on this guy, it will tell you that the label was overwritten in this absolute path, right? This is the path to your CSS file. You can read and see why. Oh, why is it grayed out? Why does it look like that, right? Now, this button and this text field don't look like Bootstrap. So how do we make it look like Bootstrap?
Class.
Yeah, add class to it. Now, the material library that we're using, Bootstrap material, this guy, it provides you a nice sample page. We're going to go here and you click on Bootstrap elements. This is a great demo place where you say, oh, okay, so these are what they are supposed to look like, and you can inspect them to see how they are, right? So it's good. They provide some of the stuff that make your code easier because Bootstrap doesn't come with ratings, right? So, okay. I think the projector is a little hot. Okay, so let's set it. How do I edit this form, guys? Survey, edit. And so do it the Bootstrap way. So you wrap this thing in a form, what? Form group in here, and then in here, what is the class name here? Form button? No? Form control, right? And then in here, form label. So Bootstrap 4 is a little different. This is 3, but we'll just fix them accordingly. So unfortunately, the projector is really bad, but you guys can see the thin line here. Oh man, it's too hot. And then that's already Bootstrap-y, right? I need the button to be a little cooler. Notice if you don't pass anything, it just automatically calls this update survey or create survey. So maybe I'll just say save changes. You can pass in nil if you want it to be automatic. But I need class button primary, right? What else? Maybe put a placeholder here. Title, right? The value is in the object itself. It's nothing because it's an empty one. But when you edit it, it has a value here. The placeholder gives you the title here, so you can actually make this title disappear. Or you can make it into a horizontal form. Form horizontal, and then you just follow the instruction. Okay. So I feel like I don't need this label. It looks good enough, right? That's my survey. Okay, maybe that's quite ugly, so let's keep them. Right. Now here's the trick. Over here, the button looks. You can make button look like this instead of this by calling button raised. So let's do that. Okay, we have our button. It looks a little nicer. Let's add. Let's go to our layout. and call this, just put it in a container, right? If you want this to handle different browser sizes a little bit better, some prefer container fluid. And the idea is just basically depending on the size of your browser, the container fluid is a little, the width is not fixed. Okay, so I think we're ready to add our question. So far, I added Bootstrap and improve. So you say make UI nicer with Bootstrap and materialize, right? Material design, yeah, UI, right? So next is let's implement the question. This is the tough part. Generate resource. No, I just need a model. I don't need controller or anything for now. Question. What are the fields? Title, and then we plan this together up here, huh? Oh, type. Excellent. It's also a string, right? What else? What's that? Survey. You can say survey ID, integer, or you can say survey references, right? It's just an extra thing. If you do references, then in your migration file, you have this one thing called foreign key already set default to you. And then in your question model, you have belongs to survey. Right? Note that in Rails 5, belongs to is required. Right? And that makes sense. Now I have to go to survey. And I have to add here what? Has many question. And usually, it's good practice to know exactly what you need. If you delete a survey, you delete all the questions, right? Like data integrity. So, because if you don't, then this validation is failing anyway, right? So we have dependent destroy. Sounds like okay, I can have a survey with many questions now. So let's run migration. Rails DB migrate. This guy should be ready to go. Okay, so now we have to display questions. The form is to display questions. Who here has done nested form? You can help me out. In edit here, right, you can say maybe if I have survey.questions, I'll just create an empty question. Yeah, I say build. If I go to this guy in edit, let's call this. There's a thing called f.fields for questions. This is a little crazy, so ask me, right? You're confused. So in this field, I'm not using f anymore because f.object field.object now is actually a question, right? So field, you can call it a different name, right? FQ. But I say field. What are you editing? Text field. Same thing with up here, right? Okay, so we put it in here, form group again, but here it's actually a question. So let's put this wrap in a question. Sounds good. Maybe this is a box. So actually this is Bootstrap 4. So I'm just gonna call it maybe panel default. It's just easier to see. Text now field. Let's see what it looks like. All right. Who can guess what the error is? There's some syntax error. You see this end? Okay. Alright, so I have, it's kind of hard to see, but you have a box for question here. You see that? So if I have more than one question, so if I say I built this 2 times, then I have 2 questions. It's a little slow. Maybe I should turn off auto reload. Good lord. Alright, let's turn off auto reload. This is crazy. Refresh this. Oh no, we only have 1 question. What's wrong? So this is actually pretty tricky. If you read fields for. So what fields for is doing is that in form, you see this survey questions, right? It introduced 1 extra field. This is called questions, and then down here you have title. Fields for introduce you this thing, right? It's submit to the list of questions. I'd submit under this questions array. Yeah, that's how you submit a nested form. Now, right now, fields for doesn't understand. It only understands that, okay, you want something called questions. I give it to you. And then you have this object. So I just display it to you. If you're confused, go to fields for here. Say form builder, okay. And when you do fields for, with nested attributes, if you add accepts nested attribute for, then your fields for become a little smarter. It will do something like this. In here, it will be survey dot questions dot each question, and then field for question, and this is a block. It's n. It's just like that. Remember rendering a collection? So I'll just turn. So that makes sense, right? I iterate through each question, but I render the question fields within the fields for questions. Questions, if I do this right now, I get 2 questions. And now you can save each one and you can submit. Now, Rails say if you declare this as accepts nested attribute, accepts what? Nested attributes for. It's quite ugly, huh? So questions, if you do this, then you don't need to do, and Rails will automatically do the loop for you. Okay? So you will get the same, like 2 guys over here. So how exactly does it work? I'm going to crash right at def update. Okay? So I say, hey, you know, this gonna stop by. So first, let's say question number 1, what's your name? Question number 2 is what's your favorite color? Yeah? Okay? And then I save changes. Alright, stop right here, but you can take a look at the params. Here's a little trick. Rails actually does one parsing, and it called questions attributes. Oh, that's annoying, right? It's not doing it under questions. The 2 ways to do nested form. One is to ignore, to not use accept nested attributes for, and to use your own form object, similar to what Gwon said. I think right now you have to set up more objects. Right now, let's use some magic by Rails, right? So Rails say if you declare this syntax and you use fields for, when you submit, you get this thing. It means when you submit down here, you want to permit something else more than this title, right? You want to permit what?
The question attribute.
Question attributes.
Like an array.
Right? But it's a little tricky because what is submitted in here? Question attributes is a hash. Okay? And then you say what?
It's just like an array.
Alright, then okay, unfortunately we have little time, so you actually say, well, permit me question attribute, but in this hash, also accept the title from me. Okay? Sounds okay? And then now, if you do that, automatically, when you update attributes, it just create all the records for you. Let's see if it's true or not. So I save, and maybe this time I reload the page, resubmit the form. Did you see that? I have surveyed a question. The first 2 already got created, and then I built 2 empty ones. Okay, so maybe my controller now can be a little smarter. Under this build, so then you only want to build 1, and that's okay, right? 1 extra question. That seems good. Let's just build 1, and every time you render, you always have this extra question you can save. So now you have two questions. You can say the third one will be, who do you love? Right? Okay, great. Uh-oh. What's happening? You know why? Because Rails doesn't know that what happening, you see unpermitted parameter here? It doesn't know that you're actually updating to the old attributes. So I forgot this title thing, right? I need to pass in ID as well, right? Okay, so then if you add one more thing, hey, now these guys will stay. You don't get too many. Okay, let's just delete. Let's just delete and clean the data real quick. Survey, to get the last survey, get all the questions, you just destroy them all. And I'm just gonna run this again. No question. I have one question. What's your name? Sounds good? Now let's handle different type, right? So there's an interesting situation where if you use a type column, Rails do something called the Rails type column. It does single table inheritance. Who has heard about single table inheritance? So if you have like, you know, maybe in your Rails you can have a table called account, and then you have a type column in here. Then you can have a user or admin. Rails can actually handle this as your user model and then admin model automatically. Okay, also automatically. It means type is a special attribute. So my advice is to never use this. You will regret. So all this magic, right? Just don't use it. Okay. So how to avoid this STI single table? I want to use it for good purpose here. It's different question types, right? So I set it to null. Okay. So that's it. It used to be so hard to remove that magic, but now it's easy, right? Hey, I don't want to use anything as inheritance column, right? Technically, if you say this, Gil, it's like a different column you want to use for that purpose. But it's just bad design in general if you bring the inheritance logic into database, right? It's better to do composition than inheritance. So if you have a user, you know, maybe consider either you have similar columns in your user table and admin column table, or you have an account table separately, and then you normalize them. Right? A user also have an account, or an admin has an account. It's your decision. But here, let's just don't use type. Don't get fancy. Okay, so that allows me to use question type. But how many values do I have for type? 3 values. So you can actually just have type as a string column, or you can use the Rails enum column. Enum is actually an integer. If you use enum and you put a string, then you run into crazy problems. So here's the cool thing. If you do this enum, and then you have 2 types of value here, it will store this as 0 in the database and then store this as 1. And then that just make it for faster lookup, right? And allow you to combine statuses by bit masking. But you don't have to care. It gives you all these extra fancy methods. So what do I have? I actually have enum, type, and then what are the thing? Short answer. What else? Checkboxes, multiple choice. Checkboxes, right? So here's enum say you have to do it with, watch out for the SG API here, okay? Google is not always giving you the best result. Just make sure you're looking at the latest API. Some people prefer to use the hash syntax because it's very clear that this is 0, this is 1. If you have a friend who just like to sort this alphabetically and just go, oh, I put checkbox in front, and then this becomes 0, the other becomes 1, and then the whole app just go crazy. So that's why some people prefer this. It's like if you move anything around, then it's very explicit. So maybe I can do that, right? Short answer, 0, right? Checkbox. That's just for you to know, okay? Now, all right, this is good enough. Now, what I forgot is my survey. What's my survey migration, right? Migration. I actually created as a, oh no, my question. I create my question type as a string. Don't believe me? Go to schema and check. This is a string. That's bad. So I actually go to my migration and say, hey, actually I want this to be an integer. Alright? It's an integer, and how do I rerun this migration?
Setup.
Reg, or you can do rel, migrate. You can just say redo it. Just remove the last migration and then apply it again. So now I have, check out the schema. I have this as integer. Now it works properly. Okay? So obviously I deleted all the questions already. So let's add the drop down for the type. Okay, so how do I go to survey edit? Down here you want a type. What is that? Select, right? Type. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay, what class? Now I'm like, okay, what CSS class do I have? Where's my Bootstrap, this fancy thing? Where's the drop down? Not this one. Maybe this one? No, I want this, the form thing, right? Form, okay. Where's my drop down? Select this one. Alright, let's look at what class it is. So it's in it's form control, and then yeah, that might be good. That's good enough. Okay, select form control. Now I need to provide values though, right? So this is actually not super easy. Let's look at the API. Select form. How do you select? You pass in. You select the type. You pass in all the options, the key and the value. What's the key? The question types? Okay, let's type here. What's the key? Question type. So maybe I just show you short answer. Maybe it's an array, like short answer. I just try this, right? Checkbox, something like that. And if I try this, oh great, right? However, when you submit, it also submit this as the value. You don't want that. We want to submit the integer, right? So actually, what's cool is you can have question.types, because you do enums here. Questions.types, and then that's a hash. So maybe
You miss an S, right?
okay. So give me the 3 types, and then when I go and check each one of them, in each option I have value 1 to 0, 1, 2, 3. That seems useful, right? So let's say the first one will be what's your name, and then I press enter. Okay, that's good. Let's double check on the last question we just created. Okay, this is the last question. What's your name? Type is nil. Why?
You haven't permitted it.
Do you see this unpermitted parameter? So we go to survey down this line. Down here, whoops, let's add type. Let's try it one more time. Save changes. So here's it's a little problematic, right? Rails like to store it as an integer, but if you submit type as an integer, it doesn't like it. So how do we do it?
Convert.
Yeah, we have to convert it. So you actually want this may be enough. You actually want this to be question dot type dot keys. Okay, so question dot types give you this. Okay, I didn't reload it. Give you this, but if you get keys, it gives you this list, and then we want Rails to submit that. Does that sound okay? Let's try one more time. I need to render this form, re-render it, and now I'm just gonna say color, and this is multiple choice. Save changes. All right, so let's see if we actually save it. Reload, right? Question dot last multiple choice. Where's the type column? That's good. It's rendering it. However, there's a problem here. How do we solve it? Well, in select, you can actually pass the selected value, right? So unfortunately, like, you know, this is pretty complicated right there. You can pass in a selected value. So let's guess how we do it together here. If I pass in maybe selected, that's kind of silly, right? You know what? Why this is not happening? I'm not sure. Let's see. Selected. What is it? Survey f object. Oh no, this is your field.
Object.
Dot what? Do you think it will work? No. Okay, so this may require a little bit of fumbling around. I think here's okay. I'm not. No. Okay, one way is to, let's just also make it very clear here. So field.object.type, so we don't go round and round. Okay, make sure this guy is. Why is it not displaying? Oh, the type is nil. That's not good. What's happening? So, okay. I'm going to debug field object. And let's look at the question in here, right? This is the my question, right? Those are attribute, and then there's the type column. Raw attribute, you don't care. Down here, type is, unfortunately, see, sometimes when you work with Rails magic, if it doesn't work, slowly, and you know, you can ask. But here's the problem. It's a little bit more complicated, right? It's just cast that to string, but this type selected. Not sure how I solve that problem. Let me see. Let me cheat and look at the other code that I write before. Look under questions in the view folder. All right. So we have question form. And I'm not sure what I'm doing here. What is this type option? All right, question model. So I did this, and there's magic. This is not bad, right? So you have short answer, multiple choice, check boxes. So when you do this, you get this array. Make sense? Right? And then after that, humanize, this means you want it to look like this English words. When you humanize it, it doesn't look like this check underscore, you know, short underscore answer. That's all, right? So I just put it in the model, and then I combine it with these keys, and it just worked. Huh. So let's try this. It should work. What I'm saying down there is that, let's see. All right. Question form. My question form that I showed you just now. Okay. This form partial. We just saw the type option. That's just basically mapping short space answer to the value short underscore answer, right? So it should work. Okay, let's try again. Now this guy, okay, and then I added a little bit of extra class. This is just the right field. That's the problem that I'm having is Rails not automatically detect that field.type is the same as the string that I'm passing in here. Usually you can you can pass in the select, but I think we're running out of time. So if anyone want to try it at home, you're welcome to test that. That's that very quickly. How do we render different choices?
I think you missed an S over here.
Yeah? Yes. If you,
Question,
where?
types.
here?
Yeah.
Extra S? Like that?
Because, no, yeah.
So if you have a question, then you do type, then I give you the, right, this give you the string. If you do humanize, then you can display that to the user, right? Now, if you do types here, obviously it doesn't work. But if you call it on the class, Rails create this thing that just display all the types for you. But this 0, 1, 2, 3 is not useful for you. So for us, so like I say, I just get the keys, right? So humanize there is that if you want to display this to the user, you can just like display them as humanized, and that's in the Dropbox. And what I did in this other repository, not it's in the question model. And what I did in this repository is just to zip it with the other, which is question types dot keys. Then you just get this one point to this one point to this one points to this. You see, select actually take this array of pairs. That's why the other thing didn't work. Because, okay, well, what if I zip this like the way I did there, right? I can zip it with myself. Question dot type dot keys. Let's see if this works. All right, types. Alex, you just asked me to type. I have someone to blame. So many S.
Another one, man.
Oh, see, Alex.
Alexis. With your mind.
Okay, so it still doesn't work here, huh? Basically, this allow me to pass in what I think if we look into documentation, I want to find the kind of format that this accepts. You can pass in the value. Oh, this is not good. Come on, Rails, give me something better than this. You can pass in an array. This is an array of pairs, right? Actually, options for select is something that's called underneath. And you see how these are the values. And this is a pair. So let's say if I have okay, I think we shouldn't waste time on this one. Unfortunately, it's not the most interesting part, so we shouldn't waste time on this one. We'll figure out why. I'll get back to you guys on why this one is not giving us the default value. I'm a little concerned by Rails behavior right here. Okay, let's do this. Humanize. Still, make it look, at least make it look nice. And I zip with this guy. That's why you put that in the model. And okay, I restart the server. Oh, did you see that? So it's just because we didn't restart the Rails server. It's just like there's some bug that's going on. So stay calm. You got a bug. Definitely, we have no idea. We just restarted the server.
First rule.
We're on Rails 5. It's a little problematic there. It's too new.
Restart the server first.
Yeah. Right? Well, first rule, go and ask questions on the Slack channel, and then go play. Someone will answer the question for you. Okay, so we did that, and there's unfortunately there's no more time. I'll let you go. But the idea is your survey model. The survey form get more and more complicated. It will look like this project. Let me just jump straight to it and show you what the completed version look like. In views, surveys, and so here's the edit right? And then you edit, actually you say I'm rendering a form. In this form you render the survey title just like before. This is Bootstrap 4, so it looks a little different. And then you say for each question I render a question form. See, I have to take that out to a different partial. But in the question form partial, the only thing that is the same across many question types is what? Title and type. And then you do it one more time. Fields for choices. Yeah, it will stop in 2 minutes now. So choices, you need to know this one because the type, you can just say for each different type, I'll just go to a different type. Choice type, question type, I go to different partial. So that's how you render. This is how you render short answer text. This is how you render multiple choice. You see the radio button. And this is how you render the checkbox. Right? That's just how you view a survey. And then when you implement how to take a survey, unfortunately that's another challenge. And we couldn't finish today, which is in that form you have to do a form for responses, right? And in each responses you render the question, and in each question you render the answer. That's why I have like different types in there. So we try to finish the whole project in the Google Forms in 1 hour. But unfortunately, we didn't get here. But we can cheat because I already wrote a version that you guys can check out. It's called Surveyor. Okay? Okay, any question before we take off?